Okay, so we are going to be going over how I recondition a case to prepare it for doing a build. Now, some of this initial part of this video, I actually had originally done as part of the reconditioning video itself. So if I repeat anything or if it seems redundant, sorry about that. I had originally planned on just doing the video with the case, but then I realized after I had just about finished that I should probably open with a little bit on camera. So I just want to talk a little bit. So what we have here is a, kind of see it, totally gutted Corsair 750D. It's gutted because I already did the video where I reconditioned it. So I've gutted it, I've reconditioned it, I've cleaned it out. So this is ready for a build. Now this particular build is going to be a very in-depth build. My normal builds, I would have more thoroughly reassembled this before starting, but this is going to be a rather long, in-depth build, so I wanted the case completely stripped down. Anyway, so I'm going to go over all the different steps that I do, what I clean, how in-depth I go, all of that kind of stuff. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. So this is how I prep a case to be used. Essentially what I'm doing is reverting this case to as close to like new as physically possible. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to strip the case of everything. So we're going to start by pulling the fans. So this particular case is a Corsair 720D airflow. I'm sorry, not 720, 750. There's no such thing as a 720, I don't think. Although every now and then I hear about models I'd never heard. But so this is a Corsair 750D airflow edition. And what this is going to be for is, so typically I don't sell builds. It's an awesome case, but and most of us that are watching would gladly build a system in this case. However, for the most part, oops, let me hide that cable. I got a cable going to my my camera I forgot to hide. Let's see if I can get it out of the way. At least enough for now. This is gonna be harder than I thought. And I apologize for any color or washed out video type issues. Trying to get this so that I can actually get a video like this without somebody helping me is somewhat challenging. So it is what it is. So anyway, we are stripping the case. As I said, most of us watching, I'm assuming, I'm going to get a few people that are looking at my builds, but most of us watching are just going to be PC builders. And we know what this case is. This is an awesome case. But to the, let's call them normies, sorry, you'll hear my phone every now and then. To the normies, as we'll call them, this is an old, outdated case to those people. And so, like, they see this case and they see, well, where's the RGB? Where's the lights? Where's the fancies? So this isn't a case that I build systems in for buyers. What this is going to be for, actually, let's grab our stuff back here. This is going to be for my Monster X99 build, which I originally was going to do in a really nice RGB, one of the nicest RGB cases actually that I can get, a Corsair 500D SE, which is actually a very rare case that I happen to have 3 of. But what I'm finding is that for some of these builds, gosh darn it, everybody's going nuts all of a sudden. Literally, the moment I sit down and try to make a video, this goes nuts. So anyway, I've been finding that some of these older GPUs are very hot, and grab something to clip that with. And I'm finding that trying to build in cases that are designed to look good isn't necessarily the right way to go. I wanted the systems to look good on camera, but the Titan Zs that are going to be, and this, by the way, I typically build, sorry, I'm all over the place here. I got so many things to discuss with this one. So I typically build platforms to do demos with. So I'll build, like, say, an X99 platform build, and then I'll demo multiple GPUs and stuff with it. I may not go that route with this one. This may actually be a permanent X99 Titan Z build. And so what I'm going to be doing with this case is, so let me show you, the biggest reason I chose this case is this. So when you're looking at an ATX board mount, there is 3.5 slots beneath the bottom of the board. Now, the reason for this, that I want this, is because I'm going to have potentially 3, or even if I'm not happy with the 3s, I may even buy 8,000 RPM, 120 millimeter server fans for this. And I'm going to mount these fans in here. I'm going to ram as much air through this case as I can. Now, what we have here, so for this build, I bought a ASUS Workstation X99 board. And the cool thing with that board is it has, I think, 4 X16 PCIe's. One of them is on the very bottom. So I'm going to have a Titan Z, and then I'm going to separate. So we're going to have like that much space. I haven't decided if I'm going to use the very bottom one or the one like right here, but we're going to have like that much space between the GPUs running in SLI. So we should be able to largely avoid the problem that you see with SLI where one of the cards just gets absolutely cooked. Because quite honestly, Titan Zs are somewhat rare and hard to come by. It was not easy, shall I say. It wasn't difficult necessarily to come by the cards. What was difficult to come by was the cards at a price that I was willing to pay for a GPU that has no functional usage beyond demonstrating on my YouTube channel. Like, I have no idea who's buying all these Titan Zs that I see selling on eBay because they are totally useless cards. The only thing they are useful for is what I'm about to do with them. That's it. They have no other utilitarian usage. So I'm a little confused because I'm generally going to assume that anybody who buys one is going to be doing what I'm doing with it. So I'm not sure who's buying these things. Okay, so let's pull, oops. So let's pull out, sorry, I'm getting a little close to the light here, so it's going to get a little bright. We're going to pull out these hard drive mounts. These things hide dust, and quite honestly, there's a very good chance I'm not going to use them. I'm probably, I may put, I haven't decided yet. I may go fully external with the storage for this one. I haven't decided yet though. Oops, darn it. It's not a breakable part, don't worry. In fact, I might just do the same thing with this one. But we want to get exposed anywhere that dust can build up, because we're effectively restoring this case to like new. Okay, that one's going to fall now too. Oop, there it goes. Okay. I've used these cases, these 750Ds. They're great cases. They're also good for server builds, because you can get, I can't remember, I think you can fit, if you really want to get creative, something like 25 hard drives in this thing. Plus it's got full-sized bays up front, so you can put hot swappables in. So it's kind of, for certain uses, this is the perfect case. Okay, so then we're going to pull, let's see, how do we have, I'm trying to figure out how they, You have to figure out how to take these things apart sometimes. Okay, so it looks like maybe... Oh, that's weird. So it's got locking tabs and... Well, this is a really weird design. It looks like it's got locking tabs and like some sort of... I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure this one out. This is weird. What the heck? Wait. Oh, wait, what? Oh, no, those are just... Oh, no. Oh, okay. Now let's pull this front. Pull that... It's got a front. That's why it's the Airflow Edition case. And we're going to have to clean each of these things, too. So it's got two in the front. Oh, I wonder... Oh, I think that this has... Okay, I was assuming that it all came off as one piece, but I might be wrong. Okay, so it looks like this front part, this like front panel thing comes off as one. And then maybe this part comes off as a separate. I'm actually kind of annoyed at myself because the guy that I bought this thing from had taken like immaculately good care of this thing. And I've already managed to scratch the heck out of it. Okay, what is going on here? Okay, so it's like it's got... So this front panel cover comes off separate, I guess. Okay, so that's kind of odd. I did not know that that worked that way. Okay, so that is that front panel. So I did not know that that worked that way. I thought it all came off in one piece. Sometimes you find this, that they're not assembled the way you'd expect. And I wonder if there is some... So let's actually do this. So let's pull these. Is there a light over there? There's plenty of light. Just the way the light's sitting. I wonder, you know what we could do? I've got my TV mounted in a retractable thing. Let's see if that helps our light. Is that going to help our light? It might. Let's see if the light gets a little better over here. No, I guess not. I've got a really weird room set up, and so it's kind of hard to properly light any of the videos I do here. So we're going to pull all of these off. These are SSD / 2.5-inch hard drive bays. It's got 4 of them, which is actually pretty forward-thinking for a case of this age. Actually not very dirty either. That's one of those things that usually gathers dust, and this one it didn't. Okay, so let's see how they... What the heck do they have going on here? I have no clue how they've got this set up. Oh, I wonder if they're under here. I bet they're under there. Oh, yeah, they are. Okay, so underneath that thing we took off, we've got, looks like we got screws functioning as a locking mechanism to hold the front panel on. It's rather robustly done. I don't know if I've ever seen one. So I think this goes down now. Yep, there it goes. Okay. So we pulled that out. Now we're going to pull out these. Now I have probably decided I have a matching set of whatchamajigger, of Corsair ML fans, and I have heard they run at 3,000 RPM. I'm going to double check that when I pause the video in a minute before I strip them out of something else to put them in, but okay, so we do that. Okay, so now what we're left with is just the skeleton of the case, basically. So now what I do is grab a towel. Now, I like to use towels that look like this. This is actually a very expensive towel. These are like $10 a piece. I got these back when I detailed cars. They're not as fluffy as they used to be. I've retired these ones from touching the paint on my car, but they're great for what I call cheese grater effect, where you get them in here and they kind of just sink in and it lets you get stuff out. So we're going to use alcohol. Sometimes I use other things, but this time we're going to use alcohol. And we're just going to get this sucker wet. Okay, so now we just wipe it off. Now, normally on one of these, this is actually a little cleaner than I realized. Normally, I will, actually, oh no, it's fine. I was gonna say just pull the lens back, but I don't want to try to refocus and everything. So normally I'll do a blowout on one of these, but this one actually is already, maybe I already blew it out. I don't know, but, so you want to get everywhere. Be careful of rubber grommets. You're not going to damage them, but you are going to pull them out. So make sure you know where everything is and where it goes. So, oops, and we're going to pull all the rest of the dust filters out. This is actually cleaner, a lot cleaner than I had expected, to be honest. So this isn't going to require, this is going to be actually the quickest I could possibly do a demo of what I'm doing here. Okay. So this is actually really clean. Yeah, I keep saying that, but I knew the guy took really good care of it. I just didn't realize it was this clean. Now, just because somebody takes good care of their computer doesn't mean they keep it clean. There is a difference. Okay. So now what I'll typically do once I've fully cleaned it, I'll give it a quick blow with an air blow gun just to get all the remaining dust that I've loosened up out. This is basically best case scenario, easiest you could possibly ask for. I was I was kind of expecting there to be more to show than this, to be totally honest. So you want to get into all the little nooks and crannies, all these mount points. Dust typically will gather on the tops of these type things. Anything that protrudes, you'll tend to get dust that'll just settle there. Now, even though this is a personal build that I'm going to be using this on, I am just as big of a stickler as on builds for buyers. In fact, maybe even more so because of the fact that, especially now that I'm doing the builds on video, I want the builds to look good on video. That's kind of the point. Okay, so let's put that back in. And I think I have some more of these of this size. Ooh, and I think there was one right there originally that is no longer there. That's a shame. Now, let's see here. Is that the right size? Oh, nope, that's too big. Is it? Yeah, that's too big. Could swear I had a couple of these things just laying around. Where did they go? Oh, I think that's it. There we go. Okay, got one. That should be what I'm looking for. No, dang it. So I have a couple, these must be Corsair, but that's odd. Did I just drop one? I guess I got more. I got another one of these cases that's going to be used in a not quite as nice build as this. So I guess if I need to, I can always grab one out of that if I must. Okay, so let's set this aside. And then, so I want to show you guys how I do these. This is a fairly clean one already, but the process is the same regardless of how clean it is. So we'll get our towel all dirty again. And this is when this type of fluffy towel really comes in handy. So it really gets in there. See that? So you really get in there good with these. You can't with a more normal towel. And that gets into the grading material that it has. And that'll take, I mean, I've had dust filters that you wouldn't think had ever gotten dust in them if you saw how clean that this gets. So let's set that one aside. And then, even though I'm not using these fans, I want to show you how I refurb a fan. So assuming the fan is good, I physically wipe down every single blade. Now you can get, when you first get it a case, if you use an air blower, and I'd recommend the ones that they have on Amazon, you don't really need to use compressed air. A big air blow can that's more like a blow dryer, actually it works better in my experience and puts more total air through. A compressed air can have a little bit more function if you have situations where you need like a really tight point of high pressure air. But for the most part, the total airflow of a mechanical one is a better option in my experience. So we wipe down all of the blades. And then I also typically go in around the frame. Because actually the thing you're most likely to see is the frame when it's in a build. And then you also want to do around here. Dust builds up there. And then the other place dust builds up that's a little harder to get to is the inner part of these support struts. So the best way I've found to do that is you take your towel in both fingers and just kind of get it in there. And it just kind of grabs from both sides. And it's pretty effective. It's not perfect. Sometimes I'll have to go over it a little more precise, but generally that works. Okay, so we have one refurbished case fan. And then for these, same thing, you just get the towel in everywhere that you can. Now I would recommend blowing first, but regardless of whether or not you use canned air or a blower gun or whatever, it doesn't really matter. Blowing alone does not fully clean it. You do get caked on dust that must be mechanically removed with a towel or some other physical means. I don't really have to go to town on these because they're not actually that dirty. There's a little bit of dust on the top. You can kind of see that. These aren't super critical. They're on the back of the case when they're in the case, but still want to clean them. And now keep in mind, this is primarily intended, I mean, again, this is a personal build, but I primarily do these refurbs for buyers. Because when a buyer gets my build, I am selling my builds at a more or less premium price for what they are. And so the buyers should get premium used, right? That's kind of a dumb phrase, but if they want to buy, if they want garbage, they can go buy garbage from sellers all over the local area all day long. My goal is to charge a little bit more and give quite a bit more when it comes to the actual quality of the purchase of the system itself. I'll usually wipe down the cables if it's got cables I'm going to reuse. Well, I mean, either way you want to wipe down the cables. I already set the power supply aside, but you definitely want to wipe down the cables in your power supply. Definitely. Don't forget to do that because you will see. Actually, let me see if I can get, where did I set that thing? Oh, okay, here we go. It's just right behind me. Okay, so again, this is already a fairly clean build, but if it weren't, you'd want to wipe them down. You do want to blow power supplies out. I'd strongly recommend the mechanical blower. Oh, these types of cables, by the way, this type of thing where it's like this more plasticky, wiry, I find tends to have more noticeable dust buildup. It tends to build up in the little, I don't know what you call these, the spaces in between each cable. So you want to wipe those off really good. That's just one of those, oh, there's my thing. Ha! One more. Sweet. Just wondering where that went. Okay. So you don't want to have dust when you're doing your pictures for your build. You don't want to have dust visible on these because it shows up as just like a little brown in between each cable. It just doesn't look good. You want them to look good. And then, like I said, on a normal power supply, I would strongly recommend blowing it out. And you also get dust buildup on a dirtier one. Again, cleaner than usual, so not on this one. But normally you will see dust outlining each of these little holes in the fan on or the whatever you call it, the dust filter thing on the back of the power supply. So what you want to do with that, again, you want to use a towel that looks like this, something that's super fluffy, and you want to just kind of work it in. Just work it in really good. And you can typically get most, if not all of the dust out of there. Now, every so often, I will get a power supply that has a bad fan, but it is a good power supply. And when I do that, I will actually pull a power supply open and replace a fan. Usually when I pull a power supply open and replace the fan, I will usually put a regular fan in it of whatever the size is, and then I will I'll get one with a long cable, or I'll use a cable extension up to it, and I'll actually run the cable out the back of the power supply. Like in this case, I could probably fit it out one of these little holes, and I'll run it out the back of the power supply, and that will let me just plug it into the motherboard if I decide to go that route. So I'm trying to think. No, there's not really anything else to go over on this. Oh, I guess one more thing that I just noticed it on the case. So, it's always the low-hanging fruit. So on the very top, you can kind of see, let's see, are any of them worse than others? And you can kind of see dust buildup around each of these. You just want to do a good... So in anywhere that there's a little corner like that, any area where metal is creased, you will get dust buildup. So just do a quick wipe down. Just be careful of these rubber grommets because you're not going to hurt them, but you'll pull one out and then it'll go flying and you'll never find the damn thing, and then you'll be like, shucks, now what do I do? Personally, it wouldn't be a big deal for me because I have spares of a lot of that stuff on hand, but most of you probably don't, so I would recommend trying not to lose things. But so that is a kind of abridged version of how I do a case build. I'm sorry, a case refurb. So I hope you guys find that interesting, and that answers maybe some questions. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I thought I was missing some feet on the bottom of the case. I am not. But anyway, I hope you guys found that interesting, and thanks for watching the video.